All right, hello everyone. This is the third sketchbook that I have of the Moleskine. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, this is the third one I did. And yeah, so let's get started with the. I'm just gonna be flipping through, sort of like a sketchbook, showing. This was around a year and a half, 2 years ago. I did like sort of three sketchbooks, and then yeah, I haven't done sketchbooks in a while, but this is sort of I'm starting to get back into them again since they're very relaxing and fun to just kind of like go anywhere on the go and be drawing. Yeah, some colored drawings with fountain pen, and this was colored with Crayola markers because I really liked like how bright some of the colors are. Just blink. Usually I would draw on this page, even though it's like really hard to lay flat, but yeah. I'll try to make this video a little bit faster than the other ones. If it's too slow or too fast, you can always just speed it up with the YouTube or whichever platform you're watching this on. But yeah, some fountain pen ink with brush is what I used to draw these. And then I started doing like tried experimenting with lighter colors, the background. Zombies. I feel like every drawing on my pages so far in the last like three sketchbooks, I've had a zombie on every single page or like an Oni mask of some sort. Over here, I was trying to do like a character in the foreground, facing away to add more depth and like a lighter building in the back. I remember at this time I was really experimenting with different brushes and sort of figuring out what I wanted to do. More fountain pen. This was with the Pentel brush, and there's a lot of. I remember I was doing a lot of fine line things. I like really took my time on the hair, on all the hair here, and trying to get like a variety of thin lines and areas of black. And get some variety. I never finished his hand. It's kind of weird going through the sketchbooks and realizing like some things I never finished. Some ballpoint pens. I kept trying to go back to ballpoint, like just sort of like to experiment with it and see if it had anything that sort of piqued my interest about it. But every time I did, I feel like the rendering wasn't worth it for how much it always hurt my hands. Some blue. I can't remember. I think this was probably ballpoint again. I'm thinking, and then just smearing the ink to get the blue effect. This was with the felt tip pen. Yeah, I get some like the rendering turned out pretty good, but my hand always hurt at the end of the day, so I don't think it's worth it. And I also don't like how like faint the lines show up. I'd rather have something like a ink brush that sort of just like puts down a very like noticeable line right away. The tiger, more characters, dogs. like a cyborg ninja here. No, moon guy. Page sort of flips around. Yeah, just basically whatever I was thinking at the time, I just drew down right away. I really like drawing crowns above the character. Like, kind of adds more depth as like perspective. And for whatever reason, always drawing a halo with an apple, which also ended up being the tire for this character. Try to flip around. More multi-headed people. This was pretty cool. I forgot I drew sort of like a skull with a or a cat wearing like a skull mask. It was like he's cooking up some spooky soup or something. Can't remember what pen this was, but at the time I was like kind of doing like this like mini personal challenge where I would just take a bunch of my old pens that sort of just sat in my drawer, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna use these pens and see how long they last, and like just like keep drawing with that pen until it runs out and see how far I can get. So that's sort of what this is. It's just like drawing with pens that I wouldn't necessarily use usually. But yeah, I feel like I learned a lot from experimenting a lot with different pens, and like sometimes just forcing myself to use a pen I don't like. I kind of don't like to get into like a routine of using the same tool and the same process. I get kind of bored after doing that. So yeah, this is the same pen. It lasted quite a few pages. Like a samurai outfit, and this is like I think it's like a crescent moon or whatever it's called when it's being like shadowed. So this is a little sliver, and this is like a full moon, and the full moon's gonna eat him. I mean, this is like multiple heads and bodies stacked on top of each other to make like one sort of character. Zoom out, tad more. Geez, now looking at it, that pen lasted a long time. Through multiple pages. I might have like swapped pens somewhere in here, but I think this was like a black jelly roll pen was what it was. And I like thought it was pretty easy to get big black areas. Bunch of heads, more characters. Yeah, and it also smeared really well for shadows, so that was pretty cool. I remember I was really happy with how the face turned out on this character. And his hair and everything. Another samurai. There's a tiger here. Oh. Another tiger. Some other characters. Space people. I think he's holding a flag, but it looks like a very solid flag. And then here I went back to Pentel Brush Pen. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think my pen died at this point. the jelly pen. So I had to go back to the brush pen. A unicorn man with some sort of creature on his back. This one flips all the way around. I think, yeah, I was watching my sister play more Zelda and was into like the all black suits of the, I think it's the Sheikah tribe. But yeah, I thought that was cool. And then I added like more different tribes sort of outfits on him. Samurai, playing around with all black shadows. I was really trying to find ways to add black to characters without sort of making it hard to read or mess up the character. I really love this sort of hairstyle. And also like a spiky hairstyle. It's probably my two favorites to draw. Jeez. I kind of regret drawing these all flipped upside down in every which way. Makes it a lot harder to show the sketchbook. More just like trying to do most of the drawing with just straight black shadows. This one might be upside down. But I posted this one on Instagram and TikTok. It's one of the first scenes I did in a while, and it was all with a brush pen. Kind of hard to read on certain parts of it. Yeah, mostly just like sort of a battle scene. I remember I was pretty into like sort of doing like it's like a glass effect with different drawings on it. Practicing like buildings and putting them in the background. It's sort of like a battle between like goblins and zombies, and then they're battling against like sort of like more of a human. This is the brush pen with water over top for shading. Sort of adds a cool effect. More of the same idea. Really liked drawing like pumpkin sort of characters. A tiger. Sorry, the crunching noise is my rabbit chewing on stuff. There's another scene. Just a bunch of characters in like a city. More spacemen and zombies. There's some Crayola marker with water wash over it. Sort of like spread the color out for shadows and shading. And then more brush pen. Sort of different angles and characters. Here's some. This is one of the first pieces that I actually started using color. This was markers. Yeah, I think alcohol markers. This character's kind of gross. Very wrinkly. Practicing anatomy. It's kind of funny though. I think the best way that I practice anatomy is just like dumb stuff like this, where it's sort of like experimenting with it. This is usually how I learn different things. More characters. This took a ton of time to color and also draw. Remember, I was trying to be pretty neat with my lines. He's got a controller and some pizza. And a lot of them are playing games or just kind of like doing different things. The alcohol marker went through the page, but I still wanted to color these. So I ended up using Crayola marker to color this. And it's sort of like little bit messy since the alcohol marker went through, but I still wanted to color, and I still drew on the back of the page, even though it bled through. Kind of just wanted to make use of the paper. And then more alcohol marker with different like creatures and characters, sort of like squashing and stretching different parts of the characters. This was like pretty much how the other one looked. I used Crayola markers over, and I was gonna do it on this one, but didn't. I didn't think it would look better if I colored it, so I just left it as line art. And same thing across here. With some frogs, a frog king. And then more color stuff. I was pretty big into trying to get everything colored. And practicing with alcohol markers. And then this is just line art on the back pages of the alcohol markers. Try to zoom in here since it's a little more packed. It's kind of fun going back and looking at a bunch of my older drawings. Man, I did a lot of alcohol markers with pen. It's sort of the same thing I was doing on my last sketchbook, but this was just colored instead of going through and shading. And it's also pen instead of using a brush to draw, so it's just all line work. I also noticed when I used a brush that my lines were like, I kind of relied mostly on shading to make certain things. And my lines were like not the greatest. And I was making a lot of errors and like just simple things. So then I decided to go through and just use line art for a couple weeks to a month. And that sort of helped make a lot of my lines tighter. This is sort of like a Poseidon based character. More color, some like plant characters, all the green ones, more spacemen. It's always a spaceman or a zombie on like almost every page. And then here's sort of like a warped perspective thing. There's like outlet, or not outlet, like cord people, and like monitor heads on these characters. They're all like interconnected in some way and in a warped perspective. I thought it was kind of funny of doing like a monitor as a character, and then they're also playing a game like on another monitor, and some of them are chords. More pumpkins. This one I never finished coloring because I got pretty burnt out on coloring, and I got really tired of like drawing all the line art one day and then having to come back like next couple days with just color. I was pretty burnt out at this point, so I never got around to coloring this. Like, there's some pink on characters, and that's about it. And then I used Crayola marker on the back since it bled through, but still wanted to do a bunch of drawings on the back, so used line art for that. This was Crayola marker too. I was pretty happy with how this turned out. I had to be a little creative with the colorings to sort of make it work. And this is kind of what the drawings beforehand looked like before I added colors. So it was just like full line art and trying to separate characters with like different weights of lines and how much like hatching or contour lines added. So yeah, this dude has multiple heads, and then like his hands are like tigers coming out too. I was really into making like multiple characters like morph together. And he's standing on like an empty empty samurai armor. Like it's sort of like encapsulating him inside. It's pretty fun with perspective. And then yeah, I just sort of more doodles. Random characters. I planned on coloring all these with markers, but just never got around to it. I'm sort of a little too ambitious. More line art. Added a little black for the tigers. Using the same pen. Oh yeah, this was I was gonna make this into a sort of scene with rabbits, and there's some tigers and stuff. It's sort of like morphed into a little bit different though, like Star Wars inspired droid man. I went back to the fountain pen ink for a little bit, more pen sketching. I was using the fountain pen ink to add black on these parts. And then this was, I used normal pen and then just colored it after adding shading. So it's basically this, but with alcohol marker over it. And then did some black brush pen drawings on the back page so that my drawings would show up, even with the alcohol bleeding through, and sort of more doodles. This time I was trying to do like very dramatic lighting too, with using as much black on the characters as possible, and sort of just like painting with the black. Is what this is too. It's very as dramatic and as much black as I could put on the characters, while still sort of like having a sort of silhouette on the characters. Tigers, goblin, king. This was sort of like Japanese, Chinese, like ink painting. Kind of experimenting with like different concepts and things that they use in their paintings. Like leaving white areas as sort of like a fog or mist. Using red as like an accent color. Yeah, just different, playing around with different ideas. Some cherry blossom trees, and then like samurais with mostly black, especially this one and that one. These two, I didn't use much line. It was mostly just painting with the black, and then having like the white fill in the rest, and then like minimal lines on the outside. I tried some like more aggressive brush strokes. This is some of these I tried was just like a pencil sketch. Went back to try like with pencil and see if my drawings were better if I used pencil first. And they weren't much different. They're a bit tighter on the lines and everything. But I just have so much more fun drawing with ink, and it takes way less time, and I don't really like graphite or erasers. So yeah, and then it's alcohol marker to color, and then Crayola marker just sort of like to add like a glow on the outside to make the character pop more. Oh yeah, and this is like a bowl sort of thing. And I tried the same idea again with the Crayola markers. I really liked how this turned out. This was, I think it was just pencil, and then I used red ink, and then added black, and then just colored it with alcohol markers. Same, more pencil drawings. These were just brush pen without pencil, and I was like, well, there's not much, like, not much difference between, so I might as well just sort of like skip this step. And then just more characters with pencil. I feel like if I draw with pencil nowadays, it's sort of I make more mistakes because it's so like open-ended, and I feel like I get lost when I go to ink. So it's just like way more easier to read if I just use straight ink. And it's way easier to see my mistakes as well. Is it blank? Alright, this one is pretty fun. This was with brush, like very careful lines. And yeah, this is when I went back to brush, just like I felt like it had something special about it. So I went back to it and tried it again. And I really liked how this turned out. And it kind of proved that I didn't need a pencil. And this was more brush and ink. This was a ballpoint pen and then alcohol markers over top of it. Sort of like a painting, which is what I used for the process. And then I just got some ink pen characters with some hatching, which I usually don't do any hatching. But yeah, just wanted to experiment with it a little. Yeah, there's just a little doodle at the end. So yeah, that's it for the third sketchbook. Hope you guys enjoyed. Next I'm probably gonna show like just normal sheets of paper that I've done in the past couple years. Some of them are very old, so yeah, if you want to see that, subscribe. If you like the video, consider liking the video. Yeah, it boosts my views and everything like that. So yeah, I'll see you guys.